All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Brothers Broadcast. Today, joining us is Phenom Realtor Kyle Spina with Realty One Group Supreme.
Thank you.
Kyle, thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kyle.
Appreciate it.
All right. So, we'd like to start out with you. Tell us a little bit about, how long you've been in real estate now, what made you get in the business, and,
Okay.
what you're doing.
Started in August of 2019, so I'm on my really third year full. Doing roughly about 7 a year. Trying to increase that. Got a team member now, so
Okay.
yeah, things are going well.
And what were you doing before real estate?
Teaching,
That's right.
emotional
Teaching.
support. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely a tough field.
What'd you teach?
Emotional support.
Okay.
I was there for the kids that needed emotional support.
What school?
Freedom,
Oh, wow.
freedom and liberty. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that
Real
about
alma
you.
mater.
Okay.
And what was the catalyst then to get you into real estate?
Fellow coworker in the schools actually was doing real estate, got me on his team, and just took off from there.
That was
Okay.
Safranic?
That was
Safranic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was the intro.
he just came up to you and asked you everything about real estate?
He was the next room over from me. He was one of my favorite teachers when I was there, and we just hit it off. And he was doing having a bunch of money with his pension as well as real estate. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, it's that educational system.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
pension.
It is. Nice pensions.
It is.
Nice pension.
And how long were you on his team?
Just under a year and a half, a year and 3 months.
And then I don't remember when you joined Realty One.
So it was with EXP for a year and a half up until October of last year. So October of last year was when I joined into Realty One.
And what was it that made you, outside of my expert advice, what was it that made you pick them? What do you like about their business model?
The broker's amazing. Jim Dietrich is by far one of the best tools.
We know Jim well.
Yes.
We know Jim well.
Yeah, one of the best tools I could ever use in real estate. Any question you have, he's right on the spot. Answered.
What was it for you when you, was there any particular moment where you felt, I no longer want to be on Safranic's team, it's time to go on my own?
Yeah, it was just a matter of making the most amount, what you're worth, right? So you're doing the job and you're doing more than 50% of the job. You want to be by yourself.
So did you have a moment, a light bulb moment, if you will? Or was it just really just kind of over time, you just felt as though you were looking at the math, doing the numbers, feeling I need to start doing this for myself?
It was a gradual build-up. It was looking at numbers, seeing, I'm making this, he's making that, with how much you're putting in, how much you're getting back.
Yep.
And I decided I can make more money doing it this way.
Yeah,
And it's worked out.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I also think from our experience when we left Sam, I think it's also a motivating factor. When you go out on your own, it like pretty much forces you to work harder because you don't have that team lead supplying anything. You got to go get it yourself.
You have to. You have to. It's that no support drive. It's like,
Yep.
I have to.
Well, it's, I mean, as cliche as it is, that sink or swim, but when you cut the cord and you know that at the end of the day, it's just on you. You have no one else to blame or point the finger at or kind of have lifting you up, except the man looking back in the mirror every day. It's a different mentality.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going from not being able to be top dog to trying to be able to be top dog. Because when you're on a team, you can't claim all your sales.
Yep.
You can't say, hey, I'm in the top 10% of all realtors in the I-Valley, or I'm doing this and doing that. It's all through the team leader. So with my team, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to have them under me for a year, and I hope Jordan and anybody else I bring on is just on their own at that point. They can just go out and get their business.
Is it just Jordan now, or you have someone else as
It's
well?
just Jordan now. I've got a couple of the people who are interested, just waiting for other things to happen. Like, for instance, I have a teacher who's going to be retiring. He's going to be on my team as soon as he retires. It's another year.
Freedom.
Easton.
Easton.
Yeah. And then a couple other guys that just, have reached out and said they're interested.
Yep.
So, yeah, looking to build a team, get them started. And I don't ever want to hold anybody hostage to how much money they can make.
What was it that you decided you needed to start a team?
Jim, actually, it's a very team-friendly company because the commission base is it's phenomenal, and everything you're getting in, you're getting right back out anyway. So starting a team, to me, is trying to get people to realize the steps that I took and just say, hey, listen, team's not going to be working for everybody. If it does, great. If you're comfortable making money without spending money, the team's a perfect fit. But if you want to make money and make a substantial amount of it, this is the building block to start doing that.
Yeah.
That was my mentality.
So to further that, and we like always ask anyone who's building a team or building a business, if you will, right? It's essentially what you're doing. What has been the biggest challenge that maybe you didn't expect going into starting and building a team?
It's always
The market.
It's always, yeah.
Outside of the stuff, with the stuff you can control, the stuff that we all have no control over, there's nothing you can do about it, but the things that you can control,
The amount of
any obstacles.
Yeah, it's the amount of investment, really. It's just the time, the investment, and the structure. It's something that you're coming from an individual realtor, just doing your thing, doing a really good job at it, and then saying, now I have to do this and manage somebody else. That was the biggest struggle in transition going over to it. But I think that, once you get that base and the lead source and the referrals start to come through, anything additional you feed to your team, and that'll make them wealthy.
So do you know off the top of your head, and I'm putting you on the spot here, you started when? In real estate?
In real estate, August 2019, I was doing 3 jobs.
So 19, 20, 21, 22, how have you scaled over that, 3.5 year period?
As far as overall.
Just overall volume. What were you doing year 1, to year 2, to year 3?
Well, this is coming up on 3.
Well, we're
19.
August the 20 is 1. 20.
Oh, yeah, correct. Yes. So about 3
August,
years.
August of this year will be my third, about 3 full years. So the first year is only the half year. I think I did 1 million in sales from August till the end of December. Second year I did just under 4. It was 3.7, and then last year I did 7. So at the current rate, we're gonna hit about 11 this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So constant, that's pretty steady growth.
Yeah, I was trying to double it again, but
It's tough to continue to double.
Well, and the market doesn't do you any favors. I mean, how many offers have we written up over these first 6 months that just haven't gotten accepted? That if they were accepted, you'd be on pace
to double.
to do those numbers.
yeah. And how many have we had to drop their limits down? Because
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing about it. Yeah. Now all of a sudden you don't qualify for that anymore because the rates have gone up.
So what steps have you taken to scale? As far as that, what do you credit the year-over-year growth to the most?
So right now I'm seeing a lot more. So if I didn't have the referral business I'm currently having, I don't know if I'd be in the same position at the same goals that I'm currently doing, because I didn't have enough leads for him. For Jordan, on my team member, I didn't have enough leads to.
Just for all those that don't know that are watching, our producer Jordan is also on Kyle's team.
Yes. So I didn't have enough leads to get over to him. So I think the referral business, once you hit that third year, it starts to come back to you. That saved me by far.
Okay.
I can invest all of my money and resources into my team members while collecting still new leads and existing leads for selling their houses or whatever it is.
Yep.
With myself.
So are you investing any money in marketing?
Yeah. I use a couple of sources. It's not much. Right now, it's especially if you're getting sales or listings. There's not much you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
So particularly, it's all just word of mouth.
It's all word of mouth.
Do you use a particular CRM?
I do. Our company.
That's
yeah.
client retention management for, again, anyone who's not familiar with the term CRM.
Yeah, it's actually, when I switched companies, it was a godsend because I had way too many leads that were just dead leads, and I was this new CRM.
Tough keeping track of all of it.
Yeah. So I reached out to all of those leads. Anybody I got answers from went to my new CRM, and I'm using it through our company. Our company provides a brilliant suite of websites.
Realty One does.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. What's the name of the CRM?
It's just through Realty One. It's Realty One customer retention.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more real estate companies don't do that.
Yeah.
Keep it all in house, right?
So let me ask you that then. Because we've always kept our own, because the mortgage companies we've worked for, they do offer it, but essentially, if you use theirs if you ever decide to leave the current brokerage, if we were to use the companies, we use Country CRM. Country owns the whole book of business moving forward.
Yeah, no, not in this case.
So you can take it with you.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't belong to Realty One Group.
No, you can export all the files.
Okay, all right. Well, that's what you need.
Yeah. So when I switch companies, unless I have something under contract with the company, that's the only time that they would take anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's just industry wide. Anywhere you go, it's about when it's under contract. If you're leaving,
But isn't that just listings? I think the listings belong. Doesn't the owner ultimately own the listing, or the broker own the listings?
Broker owns all transactions.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah, because any buyer or any seller is technically a client of the broker, and then I'm a representative for that client.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anytime we have an agent on here, well, this being the second one, the second agent, we always like to dive into a couple commonly asked questions as per Realtor.com.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the first one is, well, which you kind of touched base on. How long have you been a real estate agent? Coming up on 3 years here. Number two, what neighborhoods do you specialize in?
Nothing specific. I'm trying to get into any market I can. Like I said, I'm only 3 years in.
Yep.
So I want to try to get into everything I possibly can. Right now, it's all residential, typically single family. I do half my business is investment. So I have a lot of investors going through, but yeah.
Do you have a particular range that you'll go, like if someone tells you they're looking to buy in whatever city, what's too far for you? How far will you go?
I'll reach 2 hours.
North and south?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the mileage, just 2 hours.
From Allentown?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, her office is right off of 22 in Allentown, so yeah.
So will you drive 2 hours to show a $75,000 house?
That's where my team member will come in.
Jordan will.
Yeah, that's where Jordan comes in. You gotta start small sometime. But yeah, that's a little bit too far for 75, because unless you're charging at a ridiculous brokerage fee, which I don't believe in.
Do you have every client sign the buyer agency contract?
Plead the fifth. No. So you're supposed to. I don't believe in locking anybody down until we actually.
Oh, I think you're crazy, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I always say it to any agent. I swear, I wish we had a buyer agency contract. Because the amount of clients that come to us months and months and months of estimates, explaining, educating. And again, we're not attorneys. I don't pretend that we are. But I often look at we are billing. We're not billing, and it's all free hours. But the amount of clients that I felt over the years that we've educated to the standpoint of you have no clue how we were able to structure this going into it. You had no idea what my options you have, buying down the rate, not buying the route, adjustable rates, what product's best for you, down payment wise, so on and so forth. And they suck all that information up, and then the minute they go under contract, they call that Monday. They decide to call around.
Say up
and
the river
check
for
around.
an eighth.
And correct. If I'm now in this market I'm at 6%. He offered me 5.95.
See, that's
And then without having that contract, and otherwise I'd say, no, you signed this. You're going to close with me.
if my broker sees this, I guarantee you'll start writing. Okay. No, it's something that we should do. I think that the time and effort that I put into each one of my clients is enough for them to stick around. I've only lost, out of 3 years, I've lost probably one client. Probably just one client to anybody that just there's another realtor out there that they wanted to use.
Okay.
Or that I wasn't doing a good job for.
My thought always with that is the people with the open houses. You don't sign anything. They go to an open house. They like it. They talk to the realtor there, and they just go under contract. I feel like that's the one thing I hear for people that don't have buyer agency contracts. That seems to be the most common way of losing clients is the open houses.
Not anymore. Just because of how, unless that guy wants to offer, $20,000 cash above the asking price.
Well, that's very
You know
true.
what I mean?
That's
But
very true.
most of my clients, once we submit an offer, they don't really get the picture of we have to submit to the market standards right away. They'll lose a couple, but by that point, I already have the contract.
Do you ever have clients asking you, because again, I see it only one-sided typically. I've never come across one buyer who said, what, your commission split, will you do it for less of a commission?
Like if for a buyer asking
Yep.
that? I've never had a buyer ask that, but I have dropped commission for buyers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But never going into it. If you're going to be my agent, I can only have you make 1% on this, because that other 1.5% to 2% is going to help me get a better deal on the house.
No. Because the buyers never see that. Technically they're paying it because they're paying for the property, and the property pays for that
Correct.
commission. So the wording in the actual agreement states that they're the ones paying for that. But it's common practice that the sellers do it. I have never had anybody come in and say, I want you to do it for less. I think people say, I don't want to pay a broker's fee. Which I'm absolutely fine with. I'll eat that all day, and because the best business is referral business.
Yep.
So the more people I can make happy, get into a house that they'll like and actually stay into happily, they're going to come back for me.
And if you could go into further explaining how commissions work, because I think a lot of people don't know.
So when you get a listing, this is the only negotiations for the commission typically until you have something under contract, which is you're talking to the person. It's usually about 5% is the average in this current market. It's 2.5, 2.5. It's always split down the middle, selling agent and listing agent. So the selling agent is the person who's actually submitting the offer, and the listing agent is obviously the one who's putting the property on the market. There's times where I'll cut a commission, but except the industry average is about 5%.
But the seller is the one paying the commissions, not the buyers.
That's the way it appears, yes.
Depending on the
so-
listing.
Yeah, so it seems to me we're getting around to the fact that the buyers just aren't savvy enough to realize that there are ways to lessen fees on their end.
Oh yeah. No, there's no thought in broker's fees at all. It's like, oh, I'm in this market, but people don't understand at this point.
Well, everyone's paying it, and I felt like when we first started in this, there really wasn't a broker fee.
No.
Yeah.
And as of the last maybe 5 years, 6 years,
I have some agents.
I don't know any of them though.
$7.85.
I don't know an agent now that doesn't charge a broker fee. I don't have one.
Well, yeah. I mean, as of October, that would have been me. I didn't charge a broker's fee. I didn't believe in it. I didn't charge it, but it's a service you're providing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
100%. Yeah,
Like you said at the
anything.
beginning, what's your time worth?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a piece of it.
Yeah, I mean the goal is always $600 an hour functions, right? Doesn't mean you're going to make $600
Yep.
an hour, but that's your mentality. What can I do? How much can I do it for? And am I doing my job well?
There are also far and few between occupations in which you work for free until something goes to settlement.
Yeah.
Like you're giving so much time. Again, being from the attorney, you're coming to me and you're seeking financial advice, and it's all free advice until you go to close.
Yeah.
So I think, charging for that, I see no problem with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you don't go to closing, you don't get paid. You know what I
Nothing.
mean? And
Yep.
the good thing is the broker's fee does satisfy that, and the broker collects that fee if we go to closing. If we don't go to closing, we as the agents would then collect that fee for our time spent.
Yep.
Right? I mean, travel's the biggest expense.
Oh, yeah.
And gas now.
Yeah, actually, that's when you saw my broker's fee go up.
Yeah.
When gas started going up, I'm like, all right,
All right, number 3 here. What is your schedule and availability?
that's a tough one. Depends on the week. Usually Tuesday, Wednesdays are like my weekends. That's like my Saturday, Sunday. I get to relax a little bit, but you get back to everything else. So my team and I have office hours, mandatory office hours between 10 and 1 every single day. It's lead follow-up, catch-up, CRM, management, stuff like that. And then we do showings anywhere from 1 o'clock to 9 p.m. So I usually keep my schedule open as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Just for those last minute requests and showings and stuff like that. But typically Thursday through Monday are usually booked up 6-7 hours for showing straight.
And I would imagine later in the day when people get out of work.
Much busier.
Yeah, I get my typical investor during the day, and then I'll get the accountant from New York at 7:30 p.m. or.
Do you have any full-time invest, like all they do for
Yes.
a living, they just buy real estate?
Yeah, actually.
And they're just a cash flow mindset?
correct. They do about 10 per year, so I can count on at least 10 sales, 8 to 10 with them. That was my first client ever, which is one of the best clients you could
That's
possibly
great.
get. I know he's bought 8 properties so far. I've got him. Last year, COVID hit, so we slowed down a little bit, but this year's
Yep.
right back up. So
He's buying cash?
cash. Yeah.
So what's it, buying cash and then he's pulling them, he's financing them later? Like how do you just keep buying houses cash?
25 investment properties. So he's pulling in, 50, and it's all cash. So everything that he's making is additional on the cap. So he's making, $125,000 a month.
Now, are we talking this guy's buying $500,000 houses or this guy's buying $100,000 houses?
He's buying 100,000. The lowest we bought was 40,000, but it's anywhere between like 150 and below.
And then
Okay.
what type of rent is he getting out of these?
Oh, it's crazy.
Is he going in and then renovating them?
I have a client who I couldn't find a house for. He ended up renting, but he rented from the guy that I sold the house to, so it worked out well. He bought this duplex, both sides, both 3-bedroom, 1.5 baths, for $200,000 total. Total investment, $100,000 each, and he's charging my client, who's a friend of mine, $1,550, which is reasonable for that area, and then he's charging the other one $1,650. So he's making almost $3,200 on an investment that he put $200,000.
That's
That's
incredible.
And he put nothing else into it. He just bought it and he didn't renovate a
he
bathroom,
put-
new paint.
So I would say his total investment with closing costs and everything was probably right around $225. But still, the cap rate's phenomenal.
Yep.
He put about $20,000 into the properties total.
Are you doing the cap rate for him going to each one of these transactions, or he does it himself?
So I do it for him as far as the net cap rate. He goes off of gross, just because he has so many that the operating expenses aren't the top percent.
Yep.
I mean, he just pays those expenses, and I don't know what those are. I know he has a.
And is that something you knew how to do? Because I still personally don't understand cap rate.
It was one of the first
Or is
things I
that
learned.
like I would think, has Jim educated you more on that? Like, I feel like that's his stuff.
Yeah. Jim definitely has helped out. He is his whole spread. This guy's an Excel. I think his wife's an Excel genius, but he's an Excel genius. He's got everything in there. You just literally plug in some numbers and it shows up for you. But that was one of the first things I learned with Bill. Sofranik, my former team leader, he has 6 or 7 investment properties that he had at the time. When I was in high school, I actually helped mow those lawns. So when we went over this, that's how I learned cap rate. He explained this all to me. Cap rate was one big thing for him.
So Bill's also a cash flow guy.
He's a cash flow guy. He never buys anything for cash, but he does.
Yeah.
He does like the. Yeah.
But it's always interesting to me the choice, because him and I have always chased equity, where other investors will chase cash flow.
Yes.
So I always find it interesting to know the mindset of, all right, well, if it is equity, if it is cash flow, why is that your pick?
Most people don't think like you guys do. In the long term, they're thinking, I'm buying this now. What's my return in 5 years versus what's my return in 20 years?
Yeah.
How can I retire on this money versus how much can I make in a short period of time?
But your guy, I mean, clearly this other guy though, if you do it well enough, you're saying $125,000 a month. He's grossing, right? He's got his expenses right in that, but he's grossing $125 off of all that rent.
Close to it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty awesome.
Minus vacancies.
Yeah, of course.
In this market, there's.
But still, that's enough to get by, right?
It's enough to buy 10 properties a year.
Yeah.
I think he spends close to $600,000 a year.
So are you thinking that he's taking all that money he's getting each month, and then he's, instead of just having that money sitting in a savings account, he's basically compiling this cash month over month and then using that money from the rental income that he's getting to buy more property? Like, is that where he's getting the cash from?
In this market, it's like buying Tesla. That's essentially how he's looking at this. I'm putting my money in, I'm getting my money back. He's offloaded a couple of properties to buy other ones and just keep additional money constantly.
So are you selling his properties too?
I've sold one so far. He's consolidated on one of them as far as getting a mortgage to combine 2 of them. But he's only sold one.
He owns 50 properties?
I don't know if it's quite at 50. I think he's just around that number. I know he has a bunch in Jersey that he's been selling.
Yep.
And I just got licensed in Jersey, so that'll be my market picking up.
Jordan, let's make sure we make a note. We got to get this guy on the show here coming up. He can explain his he'd explain his portfolio to us a little better.
Accounting in New York, so good luck.
Okay. We'll go on the road for that.
So getting back to cap rate, give us the quick cliff notes on cap rate. What is cap rate?
Cap rate is the amount of return you have on your investment, essentially per year, right? So over a 12-month period, how much are you getting back? Your typical cap rates for an investor in like my area, Bethlehem, would be a good cap rate, net, which is everything after operating expenses and costs, about 9.5%.
So meaning, if you're putting $100,000 in to acquire a property, you should be making $9,000 over the next 12 months.
As far as net, yes, your net operating. Yeah.
Net.
So that's essentially what you want. You want to look at how much money, what are you charging per month? You multiply that by 12, and then you're dividing that by how much you put into it. Now, if you bought the house for $100,000, you didn't put in $100,000. You put in 115 or 110 or whatever it is, closing costs. That's all included in that.
So does it factor in financing? It does.
It
The
does.
cap rate factors in a mortgage payment.
It does, and that goes off the net.
Taxes, insurance,
Okay.
Write-offs.
utilities.
Yep. Yeah, interest write-offs, everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Fascinating.
that's something that I just learned actually was the interest tax write-off.
I'd love to know what our cap rates are.
Yeah, it's
On the properties.
Yeah.
send them to me. But Jim just sent me this Excel program that's amazing. It shows in exactly what your percentage is for your mortgage, how much you're paying off of that, how much tax you guys can save on that, and then obviously rolling that back in to say, okay, well my interest on this was $5,000 on the year.
Yeah.
You write off 3,000 of that, then it goes down to 2. It's a really good system to do that, but it's a very simple process. Whatever your rent is times 12 divided by your investment, and that's typically your gross cap rate.
Okay. Now, is the gross or the net factored in from an appraising standpoint?
I believe it's the gross, and the only reason I'm saying that is because net can change per individual besides taxes.
And again, when this guy's buying these places cash, is he getting appraisals done? Or he doesn't? He's just that looks like a fair price. The math works, so I'll pay it.
I'm hit or miss 1%, so I haven't been too far off on an appraisal. There was one appraisal that truly surprised me. That actually went above what I thought it was going to appraise for. But I do a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis for him every single time. So he's buying a $125,000 property. I'm like, it's actually worth $150,000. They know it needs some repairs. He's got a guy he uses. Obviously, everybody
You need someone.
Yep.
You got to have a guy. But yeah, that's.
And is he buying all these in the same area, or is he spreading out?
Typically, yes. Yeah, he's Bethlehem Easton. So he's a Jersey guy, so he's in Jersey. It's just an easier commute and travel for him. Plus, he's had an Allentown rental. Didn't work out for him. Kind of put a sour taste in his mouth. So he's out of Allentown, Lower Stalken, Bethlehem.
That's a great market.
It
It is.
Yeah.
It is high turnover too. So and rents are just continuously going
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Let's get back to the basics here.
Deal.
What percentage of your business is working with home buyers versus listings, sellers?
Well, so being in the market 3 years, I don't have many sellers. I have 4 this year, 5 if I get lucky. There's one that's on the fence with me, but pretty much I would say 90% of my book is all buyers.
Okay. Which I think is very common for any new agent. I feel like listings, you probably aren't going to start seeing the turnover for probably till like, your year 5, year 6, all those people you got in year 1, year 2, now ready to upgrade, sell it, keep it, buy a new one, whatever the case is.
Yeah, the average my buyer is the average first-time home buyer, right? So when I first started, a lot of FHA loans, but because of the market, they're going conventional. They're putting a little more money down, but they're staying in their houses 3.5 to 5 years. That's the average for the first time.
Yep.
So I'll see some.
Well, it's just that another 6 months, a year, you start seeing all these listings coming back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see. And a lot of the listings that are premature like that are you bought a house you thought you liked, you don't like it, but in the market you have equity.
Yeah.
So
you have choices.
It's I got it at the right time
Yeah.
for sure.
How long does it typically take buyers you've worked with to find and purchase a home?
It's a loaded question.
And I was going to say, give me also what it was the first 2 years, and now maybe what it's been this year in this market.
So I used to think that I was like the bee's knees because I was getting FHA offers accepted when they weren't typically accepted, right? Brighten it up a certain way where it seems like it's a little more competitive, even though there's other stipulations that are in there that are just kind of hidden along the wording. But that's no longer. So a lot of the first time when I was in the first 2 years, it was a lot more FHA buyers, a lot more tricky, sneaky little things that go in certain places, like contingency periods and 15-day turnarounds and stuff like that.
Yep.
That just look better, but technically don't mean much to the actual deal. Now it's more cutthroat. It's like, you have this deal, this is the structure that we want. If you don't have that, we're not accepting your offer.
Yeah.
So
They have all the power.
the sellers have all of the power. But yeah, so like I said, my buyers have definitely thinned out, especially with interest rates. It's actually, for me, I had almost too many buyers that were in the field. And so my buyers out there, still working for you. But you're getting a lot more qualified buyers. You're getting people who can afford that payment, people who are comfortable making and know the market and saying, I know I have to spend 103% of the list price, or whatever it comes out to.
Separates the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, and when this ever turns around, those buyers will come back a year from now saying, it's not going to get better, let's just keep going.
Yep. And home prices will be up another 20% by then.
Yeah,
so that
hopefully
$250,000 house, so now you're looking at $275,000.
Well, then that's the problem, is that this market's really just squeezed out so many people who want to be able to buy a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not anything new construction. No one's building any new construction condos that are selling for $175,000. I mean, everything now is just.
Why would they though? Because they can get more.
Exactly.
They can get
exactly.
whatever.
But where do those people go? Where do those people go that want to have a $1,000 mortgage payment? It doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And it's happened over the course of 6 months.
Yeah, a combination of interest rates going up and
home prices.
Homes appraising for the value they're being purchased for is really thinning the market.
And then it trickles down even further, because then you have the landlords who know you have no other choice, so I'm going to just rents across.
Just call it inflation. Just increasing rent because inflation. You don't even need it.
And because they have no choice, because they can't afford to buy something, they have no choice. They're pressured into signing up for these higher rent payments.
Yeah, I have a relative who I'm working with right now trying to find a rental. Her rental was $1,150 a month for almost 2 bedrooms, like 1.5 bedrooms. It's like that small little off-brand closet type bedroom that you had.
Yep.
$1,150. So she just got a notice in the mail. Her rent's going to be going up to $1,500 for. It's mind-blowing.
And if she won't pay it, she's moving out. Someone else will. Someone else will come in and pay it right away.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pergo floors and pergo ceilings. The only additional upgrades they did to the place, and that's it. You know, you charge an extra $300, $400 a month. So
Yeah.
It's wild.
So what is your process for when you get a buyer? What is your process for selling them a home?
So when I first started, I used to meet them before going to the home. Typically, when you're an agent, it saves you time, saves you money, right? You meet at a common place, it's not too far from either of you guys. See if everything works out. But in this market, you got to move fast. So I don't have time to sit down with a buyer and introduce myself. So typically, I'll do as much introduction on the phone, as much as I possibly can before I meet them at the property. Schedule a property for that extra 15, 20 minutes to get that acquaintance going.
Build some rapport.
Build a rapport there, because it's just with how fast everything is. I last time I did this and met somebody out of a place. We were going to go at 11 o'clock. We were going to go see a property. We met the day before, and it went off that night. And it was only on the market for 2 days. And I'm just like, it's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
So I said, from this point forward, I'm just meeting all of my clients either when they have time. If they're not ready to start looking yet, then we'll meet them ahead of time. But if they're ready to start moving, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Just jump on the horse and just.
And then what is your process? Are you getting them set up on an MLS search? Are you?
Yeah, so I have two systems that I use. One that's more user friendly, that's like a Zillow, which is just Zillow's great for the quick search.
Yeah.
The MLS is just it's a nightmare for the casual viewer, just because there's just so many additional details and
It can be overwhelming.
It can be very overwhelming. It's like, oh, I don't really see the pictures. So I sent them two of them, one with more statistics and the other one with more user friendly, whichever one they could prefer.
You prefer Zillow or Realtor?
It's a combination both. As far as leads, are you assuming, or as far as?
No, just like, yeah, I mean, if you're sending them something from one of the two websites, are you choosing Realtor.com or are you choosing Zillow?
If I'm looking something up at the property, I use Realtor.
I think Realtor, personally, I think Realtor.com is
so
a
do
better
I.
app.
It also seems like it updates better. With Zillow, your stuff is just like, it's been off the market for a month and it's still showing as an active sale.
Yesterday I sent a property, or 2 days ago I sent a property to a client of mine who's looking for an all brick home, which you can't find. We've been looking for about 7 months. Sent it to
That's
him.
quite a request.
I was going to say, bedrooms, bathrooms, no, it needs to be brick.
3 bedrooms minimum, all brick. And he has money to spend, and we can't find it. He doesn't want siding, nothing on the back, so yeah, it's a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
But so as far as like, for someone like him, I'm sending Zillow. I'm sending just the pictures. That's all, because that's his first thought is I'm looking at the pictures first, and then I'll look at the specifics.
Yep.
When I'm out there using it, Realtor is the better one, because there's just so much more information that's just right at the top of that app.
Yeah.
Versus Zillow, you can scroll on one side and look at the pictures.
Yeah.
I think it's more user friendly. So you just go and you can see everything that you need. Where Zillow, I'm constantly I'm trying to find what the property taxes are.
It's Apple opposed to Android.
Yeah.
It's just a cleaner format.
Yeah.
Much. And so are you pretty much just having that conversation with everyone then? Okay, how many bedrooms? How many garages? How many,
So I try not to be as specific as possible for the first meeting. When I meet them at the property, that's when I'll discuss what they really want. I'll get them, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, this many square footage in this area, in this price range. That's it.
How
I don't
much?
need any more information.
How much do people come to you about land, the lot size?
Every once in a while, I'll get somebody to come in. I have a developer that I know. He was looking for a little bit, and just everything's going up, so he's a smaller developer, can't afford it, so he's just search on pause until things start to go down, interest rates go down to do that. But that's typically it. I'll just get one person questioning a $20,000 piece of land. Quarter acre with no utilities on it, something along those lines, where they're just looking to put a mobile home or something along those lines.
Yep. Do you see one common thing that most people want?
As far as in land?
No, just the property itself.
Well, I can't use the terms good, but a good neighborhood is what they usually would say.
Okay.
Somewhere, typically schools are a big one. I don't usually ask about school until they bring that up, just because there's so many more options out there for you, especially in this market, if you're not as thorough or picky as far as what you want. So I tell everybody, if you're competitive, be as picky as you'd like to.
Yeah.
But if we are in a position where we can't, we
Beggars can't be choosers.
Can't pick and choose what we're
Yeah.
looking for, we might have to just go out there and just make a more of a web do that.
Yep.
What's your process when it comes to how many homes will you show someone before they can verify that they're pre-approved?
I don't show anybody home.
So before you show the first time, you make sure
Yeah.
they're approved. So you'll never drive to a property and meet someone that you don't know that they're qualified. I love
I mean,
that.
I've
I
done
love
it.
that. We got a ton of agents that'll just, I'll show them one or two and then I'll make them get approved. I think you're just potentially signing up for such an enormous waste of time by having that mindset of I'll show you even one. If you're driving 30 minutes to meet someone somewhere, they have a 420 FICO score, and now it's an hour of your life you won't get back.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it in the past. Like when I first started, it was like, I want to meet you. I want to get there right
Yep.
away. Anxious, just
Beggars
Yeah,
can't be
yeah.
choosers.
Yeah. So it's like just get out there. I was traveling. 3 hours was my for an $80,000 property. That was what I was
Yeah.
doing first off. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's not one person I'll show a property to now at least.
That's
not
great.
pre-approved.
Yeah.
For at least that amount, because they have to know that they're going to go over that amount.
Yep.
And is open floor plan still?
No.
Like, do you have clients that want the box?
I want the
rooms?
boxiest house I can find.
The last time I heard the words open floor plan has to be at least a year ago.
You serious?
People are not picky anymore.
Wow.
The only person that I
That's
had,
very surprising to hear.
Well, the only person that I've had that actually asked for an open floor plan was a $700,000 client, and most of those, and he was looking for a property that was 2010 or newer. That's every $700,000
Yeah.
property except
Yep.
for like a farm home.
Yeah.
So
I hate a
it's-
boxy house.
It's
I think it's terrible.
What is it? The
Walk-in
contemporary
formal
modern.
dining room.
Yeah, the contemporary modern ones
Yeah.
where they're literally just squares all over the
Yep.
place. Yeah.
And then the last question here I'd ask you on the list: what is your communication process throughout the process when working with clients? Are you calling? Are you texting? Are you emailing? How often are you reaching out to someone if you haven't heard from them? Kind of what's your process?
It's per client, but text is 80% of my business as far as communication goes. It's easy. I'm on the road, 5 hours a day. So being able to just pick up the phone real quick while I'm stopped,
Yep.
send a text out real quick, say, hey, listen, this is our process. I just found this out on the phone. Somebody called me. This is it. Call me when you have a chance. That's typically the correspondence. If I haven't heard from you in a week, you get a text. Like if I don't know you're out there somewhere, say
Yeah.
I'm on vacation or I'm doing this, and I don't hear you from you the next Monday.
So weeks the timeline for you for the follow-up.
Oh, for the first follow up, yeah. If you're playing a little hard to get, you get a little more follow up from me.
Okay.
But yeah, if there's somebody who I know is actively searching, just hasn't found that one thing, send them a search. Here are the searches. I look up every morning to go through every single new listing that's put into my market and say, hey, listen, this is good for you. Sometimes I find none. I won't text until the following week. Hey,
Yeah.
no luck this week. Let's see if we can find something next.
Okay.
So if I'm a teacher and I aspire to be a successful realtor, I go out, I get my license, I walk in your office, I'm licensed. What do I do? What are you giving them? What are you giving them day one advice? They're not teaching. They quit. They walked in the principal's office,
Get a day job.
laid into them, went out with a bang.
Get a day job.
Nope, I don't want a day job. I need to be real estate. I need to be real estate successful today, day one. What are you telling? So, again, this is more so someone who's brand new. Their first day on the job. What are you telling them to do?
Call everybody you know. Facebook presence is a huge thing, and I admit my faults to it. Jordan's on my team. He's doing great marketing.
He's working more for us than he is for you.
Seriously. So yeah, my social media presence, and I would tell everybody, social media presence is one of the biggest things. Call all of your friends, your relatives, especially if there's somebody in our range, right? 25 to 36, you're buying your first home.
Yeah.
Right. So you got all of these guys that are trying to buy their first home, and it's just if you don't reach out to that client base, you don't know how many you're losing. So. That would be my first thing. Is any friends you have, reach out to them. Any
Start with
family
that
member-
immediate sphere.
Yeah.
Correct. When I was selling cars, I sold cars before I went to teaching. When I sold cars, I had about 18 sales, and for my first year, and I had about 18 sales. 14 of those were all family members. And it's just how you start.
Yeah.
It's how you do
Sphere
it.
of influence.
Yeah, and then you get the capital underneath yourself. You have a little more room to grow and to spend experiences that you're probably not going to get with leeway as other clients would, right? So if you have a family member or friend, they need a little more leeway than
Yeah.
most. So you learn your mistakes with them first, and you go forward. But education is probably the biggest thing ever. If you go up to a property and you don't know an answer, and you try to make up an answer, that's worse for you. Be educated. If you're not educated, tell them to find out. If you don't find out, no harm, no foul. It wasn't on you. You weren't able to get the answer.
Yeah.
But be honest with them.
Yeah.
Honesty.
Don't just make shit up.
Oh, and this is why I work with you guys. We don't lie to clients.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
honest
yeah,
with
yeah.
everything you possibly do.
Yeah.
And the more honest you are, then they can see that. They can
Absolutely.
hear it,
Well, it's
they
also
see it.
working by referral, right? Like,
Right.
you know, all we have is our word, our reputation, and if you just you're caught in a lie even once, that's
People
spread.
can't trust you.
Now no one
Relationships.
trusts you. Correct. The agent's not going to keep sending you because now you made them look terrible because they're the ones who ultimately referred you in the first place.
Yeah.
It's that trickle down. But it's funny you say start with the people you know, because the first thing we did when we was just Quain Oak Bank when we started. We wrote when we first got our first set of business cards, handwritten notes to every single person we could think of. Not just family, but friends, past coworkers,
Get the word
people we
out.
went to school with, anyone who would come to our mind. We wrote them all down on a list, and then mailed them.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important that if you're making a career change, the first thing that you do is informing your immediate sphere or anyone that you know that, hey, this is now what I do for a living. Because it's hard enough to go out and just try to get random business, let alone, let's start with some family and work our way outward from there.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, you still have to get the random business.
Of
You know what
course,
I mean?
of course.
So my first week in real estate, my first week I got my cards. The first week I had my cards, there was 500 of them. I just got them printed. I'm all happy. I have every single one of them. Within a week I'm out. Every single place I went. Every single place I drop them on the floor.
Yeah.
There's a couple on the floor here. Somebody's gonna pick them up, right? Put them, buy somebody at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks a coffee. Put it in their receipt. Here's your receipt. Make sure you give them the card. Give them to the workers there. Got 2 clients that way actually, so it works. But
good.
yeah, you just anything you can do to get your name out there, just do it. Whether it sits in the back of somebody's wallet for 3 years, it doesn't matter. They're gonna call you 3 years from now because they said, "Oh wait,
Yeah. I keep seeing your damn picture.
Yeah,
on the wall.
I know.
Yeah.
So any parting words or advice here for the audience on real estate? Drop some real estate wisdom.
It's just you gotta be motivated, self-motivated too, because if you're not thinking about what the next step would be in your real estate game, you're not gonna do your clients any kind of favors. You're not doing yourself any kind of favors, because if you can't foresee a problem days before something happens, I mean, you could lose an entire deal.
Yep.
So it's tough, but you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, you're seeing what's ahead of you, and you're making sure that you have every single angle covered.
What about advice for the buyers that are sitting at home feeling hopeless about this market?
Submit offers. Submit offers.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. You know what I mean? If you don't get your first house, get one that you may like a little bit, right? Sell it 3 years from now.
Yep.
The market's not going anywhere. So that's what I keep telling everybody. If you're,
Never has, never will.
yeah, if you're thinking about it, do it. Because if you have the financial means to do it, I will never have anybody spend their last hour. But if the financial means to do it, do it. Yeah, submit something. If you don't like it in a year from now, you have equity, or you break even, right? No loss, no harm, no foul.
Exactly.
Go out to that another one.
Well, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule here to join the brothers on our broadcast.
Deal, man.
For all those watching at home, thanks so much. If you'd like a consultation with Jeff or myself or with Kyle here, please feel free to click the link, and thanks for tuning in.